he was the most talented player, but I could argue it was always Steph's team. He struggled in OKC because management and coaching preferred the aggressive nature of kind of Westbrook. It drove KD nuts. He thought he was the guy. And then with this team, when he got hurt and Harden took over, they actually went in a great winning streak. And so I don't see it as a criticism. I don't see Kevin wanting to be the face of the league. I don't think he's really that guy, and that's absolutely fine. That is absolutely, that to me, it's like, why does he have to be the face of the league? Why can't he just be the best offensive player? Your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. Honestly, my issue or my problem or the struggle is that I'm not sure exactly what Kevin Durant wants. And I am somewhat suspicious that Kevin Durant doesn't know exactly what he wants, that he's still seeking that, I don't know, validation, satisfaction, gratification from playing the game. Because he's had the opportunity to be the leading scorer in the league. He's had the opportunity to be a big fish in a small pond. He's had an opportunity to be a champion. Now he is leading the Brooklyn Nets and has had the opportunity to form his own team and come close to running his own franchise. And yet there still seems to be this, difficulty in appreciating where he is and what he has, and that he's still trying to prove something. So that is the challenge. I mean, the faces of the league that have been most successful is that we can feel and love and appreciate their passion and their comfort in who they are and what they're doing. And we can love the game because they so clearly love the game. I think KD loves to play. What he's trying to get out of playing the game is still an uncertainty to me, and I believe is an uncertainty to him. And as a result, anytime you feel kind of uncertain about somebody, it's hard to embrace them and see them as the leader or the figurehead of whatever it is that you're enthralled with.
You know, the Ben Simmons stuff is interesting. I have thoughts later on this, but when you're going to trade a player, you often want the player to look good. You want to say nice things about him so he has more leverage. In Philadelphia,
that ain't happening.
Right. Well, it's funny because the Eagles with Carson Wentz, a bunch of stuff started leaking that he was not good in the locker room. You couldn't trust him. And the Eagles got nothing in a trade, despite the fact he's a brilliant talent who the game got in his head. Simmons, now watch the Sixers. Doc comes out, very fixable. We can fix this. I think they're going to go on a rehab tour because what happened to the Eagles was, because Simmons and Wentz are the same, by the way, great talents. The game got in their head. They need a rehab. One's going to the Colts. But if I'm the Sixers, I'm not going to do what the Eagles did, which is let a bunch of stuff leak that he's a bad guy and he's hard to play with and you can't correct it, right? Like you want to say nice stuff about him.
Sure, but here's the reality. They need to make a move before next season starts, and the tape don't lie, as they like to say. We've seen what Ben Simmons is, and this is not like 1 year. He's 5 years into his career, essentially, because the first year he didn't play, and he had the greatest opportunity ever with a broken bone in his foot to do nothing but form shoot and to develop a stroke. Stand still. At being 6'10", 6'11", he can shoot a standstill jumper. He can shoot a standstill three-pointer. Made no attempt to do that. And then after his first year in the league, when it became clear that he needed a jump shot to be his most effective self, did not do anything to achieve that. In fact, if you look at the percentage of shots that he's taking beyond 10 feet, it has steadily decreased, as has his efficiency in taking them. So that is the great mystery. And you talked about it earlier in the show with Joy. And here's the reality. He's not a point guard.
Yeah.
Yes, he's talented. Yes, he has skills. But he's more built to be a power forward, a ball-handling power forward, than he is a point guard. Because it's not just a matter of not shooting from range. He's not attacking and creating. Elfrid Payton couldn't shoot from range, but he was still trying to attack and create for others. Ben does that at times, but he's at his best doing it in transition. You get into a half-court set. I mean, you saw it during the playoffs. They basically had him handing the ball off to Seth Curry and bringing the ball up court, handing it to Seth Curry, and then running to the dunker spot. That's like being the bass player in a band. Yeah. You're just doing the bass line. And for a guy who's got a max contract and that you're calling a point guard, that's simply not going to work. So, I mean, ultimately, everything points to him needing a fresh start someplace else. And much the same way another guy that was supposed to be the next Philadelphia 76ers point guard, Markelle Fultz, had to go someplace else to restart his career. I think Ben Simmons has to go someplace else, and he has to adopt a different mindset and a different position if he's going to make good on anything that he has talent-wise.
All right, Clippers, Suns. Phoenix won without Chris Paul. Huge edge. I thought the Clippers could have stoled one. I do think they're bigger. Yep. They got more veteran players. I think they match up really well with Phoenix, and Phoenix is just, right now, confidence is such a thing in these playoffs between players and teams, and Phoenix believes last 8 games they win by an average of 15 points. Is there anything, like this morning, I think it's a 6-7 game series, do you lean with any team after game 1?
Probably lean Clippers, quite honestly, because I thought that they could steal that game. And I look under the circumstances, 48 hours, less than 48 hours, you're playing in the next series, while the Suns really had the opportunity to gather themselves and even had a little bit of time to adjust to the fact that they were playing without Chris Paul. You're playing at home. Everything tilted in their direction. I thought that the one mistake that the Clippers made is that Paul George and Reggie Jackson tried to do too much. I keep hearing about how Paul George has to dominate from people that have been in the game and supposedly know the game. They haven't been watching the Clippers play, honestly, because they are at their best when Paul George doesn't do too much.
Right.
Be aggressive, but when he's rebounding, when he's playing defense, and when the ball is moving and everybody is getting involved, that is when they're at their best. And if you look at the 4 teams remaining, this whole idea that you need a big 3 or you need to lean on your superstars, it's been the exact opposite. The 4 teams standing have all relied on their depth and versatility. They've had guys like Terrence Mann and Kevin Huerter and these lesser lights who have had the opportunity and the ability to step up because the stars have given them room to do so. That is how this is going to work. I mean, Devin Booker was sensational in game 1, but Cam Payne was given the opportunity to be just as aggressive and made good on it. To me, that's really going to determine who the next champion is. And not to circle back, but that's the loss that the Philadelphia 76ers have in all this, because now you have 2 teams in the Eastern Conference, in the Milwaukee Bucks and the Atlanta Hawks, who get to discover that about their team. Their stars get to discover and come into the next season with the confidence of what it takes to get to the conference finals and potentially win a championship. Sixers are getting the benefit of none of that. So you want to talk about Ben Simmons, you want to talk about Doc Rivers. The Philadelphia 76ers have an expectation problem that is only worse now that they've got some teams in the East that are going to be more versed in what it takes to win and win at the end of the season